आइए, take your seat. So you are comfortable?
Alhamdulillah.
Ready for the interview?
Yes, sir.
You may like to introduce yourself to all of us.
Sir, my name is Talha Rafiq. I belong to a small village called Mangwal in district Hoshab. I'm currently residing in Quetta. My father is serving in the military there in 12 Corps Quetta. My mother has been serving in different educational institutes for the past 20-25 years in various capacities. I'm the younger of two siblings. My elder sibling is my elder sister is a trainee general surgery. I myself am a doctor. I graduated from Army Medical College in October 2021 with a bachelor in dental sciences. I graduated with a silver medal in oral surgery and a distinction in oral medicine. Also as the battalion dental senior under officer cadet, which was the senior most cadet in all BDS courses at the time in the college at that time. Other than that, in my humble capacity, I co-founded an NGO called Idrak, which pioneered the buddy program for street child education in Rawalpindi. We disburse around 60,000 rupees to different schools per month. In my free time, I'm a writer and I play football. I founded a blog called Pen and Paper, where I write on social and political issues of national interest. And in football, I was lucky enough to play in under 14, under 16 age groups in Salkot. Went on to captain my school, college, and university football teams.
Thank you. You tell me, you had a professional degree.
Yes, sir.
And how you thought, what is your inspiration to join the civil services?
Sir, my inspiration is derived from three different sources. One is personal, that is my family. Both of my parents are administrators. I'm very much inspired by the careers they have led, the struggles, and I know they'll be very proud to see me in the civil services. Second was, it was a career choice. I believe the civil service provides a very dynamic career path with potential for self-actualization, and it also with potential for serving your broader society. And third, it was a consideration. When I was serving my patients, I was able to treat 50 patients, 100 patients per day. I was able to relieve their pain, but I saw there were much other factors in the society that were impacting their lives. And I felt that I could play a bigger role if I was able to join the civil service and play a part in shaping those factors that impact their lives.
That is the reason to join the civil services of Pakistan.
Yes, sir. Broadly.
Okay, tell us about Pakistan. What do you know about Pakistan? How you will introduce your country to all of us?
Sir, Pakistan, it is a country situated in the southeast, almost 75 years old, country of diverse ethnicities, linguistic variety, cultural variety, country rich in natural and human resource. And it is situated both at a geostrategic gateway at the confluence of the Middle East and Central Asia. And it is a country with tremendous potential, which has thus far been underutilized, partly due to our own mistakes, our own mismanagement, and also due to a harsh external climate, where we have to contend with certain geostrategic realities that force our hand in many ways. And the potential of the country can be seen in its achievements in different fields. We have scientists of the caliber of Dr. Abdul Salam. We have sportsmen of the caliber of Jahangir Khan, Jansher Khan. Our cricket team is one of the best teams in the world. We have great potential in tourism, 5 peaks greater than 8,000 feet in height. And we have an expat population that is one of the most productive diasporas in the world. So it is a country rich in potential, albeit the potential is unfulfilled, but it will be fulfilled, inshallah, with due diligence in the future.
Now, currently we are facing political
Yes, sir.
turmoil, I will say.
Yes, sir.
The Provincial Assembly of Punjab and KPK have been dissolved.
Yes, sir.
There is a dispute and it has landed in the Supreme Court.
Yes, sir.
What is your uptake? What are the issue of determination for the Supreme Court?
Sir, the primary issue of determination is that who is to set the dates for the election, because there is an ambiguity there. The governors of both provinces say that since they were not part of the process in dissolving the assemblies, they felt that they didn't dissolve the assemblies, and the 2 days after dissolution ran out. So they take the stance that we are not going to announce the election dates. The president then unilaterally announced the election dates under Section 57 of Election Act 2017. So this is a procedural and constitutional issue that is in front of the Supreme Court. Similarly, Supreme Court had to take this suo motu notice because there was a risk of violation of the Constitution. The 90-day time period that is in the Constitution after dissolution of Assembly, within which the elections have to be held, was at the risk of lapsing if the inaction that was being seen prevailed. So it was a step of great urgency in order to preempt any such measures that would lead the country to further political instability.
Welcome to CSP's Academy for CSS PMS preparation. CSS PMS तहरीरी इम्तिहान के तमाम मज़ामीन की ऑनलाइन और ऑन कैंपस तैयारी के साथ साथ सब्जेक्ट सिलेक्शन, असाइनमेंट चेकिंग, क्लास टेस्ट, मॉक एग्जाम, इंडिविजुअल टीचर डिस्कशन और फीडबैक सेशन का इनकाद किया जाएगा। इसके अलावा FPSC की तजवीज़ करदा बुक्स से बने मयारी नोट्स और CSP पब्लिशर की बेहतरीन बुक्स मुहैया की जाएंगी।
Tala, you are representing the petitioners.
Yes, sir.
Before the Supreme Court.
Yes, sir.
And the issue of advice of the Chief Minister under the Constitution.
Yes, sir.
To the Governor, which was received in the Governor office.
Yes, sir.
What will be your argument?
Sir, my argument would be I would take support from the legal point of view that there is a signed summary forwarded by the Chief Minister in which the Chief Minister signed the assembly and sent it to the Governor. There are no situations or no plausible conditions where you can say that it was under duress or it was forced upon him. It was of his own consent. The Chief Minister has recently merged he's joined the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf as well, the former Chief Minister. So the arguments that the opposition is saying that it was under duress or it was forced or they didn't want to dissolve the assembly, they stand null and void by the simple signature that is on the legal document that is.
How you will differentiate the office of Governor and the Chief Minister? What are the pros and cons for both offices?
Sir, the office of the Chief Minister is the true executive power in the province, while the office of the Governor is the constitutional head of the province, but it does not have its own original powers, other than acting on certain summaries that are forwarded by the Chief Minister. It can be said that it is a postmaster office where it signs those assemblies and forwards them for action. Because they're the head of the province. But the original power lies with the Chief Minister. And this
who is the elected?
Who is the elected?
Elected head of the...
Yes, sir. And the Governor
representative of the people?
Yes, sir. Governor is the appointed representative of the President towards the federating components.
Look into the international scene.
Yes,
there is a Ukraine war going on. Who are the beneficiaries of this war?
So the beneficiaries of this war first would be the military-industrial complexes that exist in different countries because they're able to sell their products and there's a hysteria. Second, I believe in the current situation, Russia is the beneficiary. The people of Ukraine stand to lose because they have to pay a large human cost. They will potentially have to pay a territorial cost as well if the annexation of Donbass and Crimea gets international recognition. And the losers of this war, other than the Ukrainian people, would be the developing world because the prices have skyrocketed across the world. There has been a commodity super cycle. So, but the developed countries, they have their economies in order.
But Europe is also suffering.
So it is suffering, but not to the extent the suffering we see in the developing world. And Europe can be an inconvenience for Europe, we can say. But Europe has its geostrategic goals. Primarily, the US has its geostrategic goals to single out and isolate Russia.
US is making money?
Yes, they are making money, sir. So I believe the President Zelensky has to take this into consideration, that other people who do not have direct stake in the war, they might stand to win from it. But ultimately, the losers.
So how
of
you
this
will
war
explain Pakistan situation? Are we the loser or the gainer?
Sir, in terms of the effects that it has on our economy and the tailspin that we have seen, we definitely are seeing a lot of effects of that war in Pakistan. But Pakistan has had to tread a difficult balancing game, because Pakistan had good relations with Ukraine. We used to buy wheat from Ukraine as well. And Pakistan wanted good relations with Russia in the future. We were moving in that direction. So this Russia-Ukraine war thrust Pakistan into a very uncomfortable position on the international scene, because then we have to play out a difficult balancing game, as demonstrated by the recent vote on this UN resolution for the peace proposal by Ukraine, where we had to again abstain. And we could not abstain in categorical terms. We said that we agree with what has been said, but it has to take into consideration Russian grievances. We agree with the spirit, but not the substance of the resolution. So it's a very difficult balancing game in foreign policy for Pakistan.
Give your career a boost with CSS PMS preparation from Civil Services Preparatory School. Join CSS PMS for on-campus and online classes. Join us for your bright future. Civil Services Preparatory School, Jeetan Markaz, Islamabad. Register now at 0316-570-1593.
Tella, how do you see the future of democracy in Pakistan?
Sir, I see the future of democracy in Pakistan, although in the short term it seems to be a bit dark, a bit imperiled. But if the processes continue to roll out, I believe it is only better for the democracy that we go through these small shocks, we go through this turbulence, because after these hardships, there will be an institutional memory in different parts of the country, in different political segments. They will know not to repeat these mistakes. And the process, if it survives this turbulence, it will only emerge out to be stronger. People are getting more involved in the process. The political culture is changing from a subject to more participatory political culture. So I believe these are all omens of good progress. And in the long run, we might see that this particular phase of difficulty led to great ease in the future.
Thank you. Please.
President Zelensky yesterday said that Ukraine will defeat Russia this year.
Yes, sir.
And he said it while German battle tanks were being handed over to the Ukrainian army.
Yes, sir.
How do you see this for the peace of the world?
Sir, for the peace of the world, the longer the war goes on, it is likelier that it might spill over, or there is a risk of the nuclear element of the war coming into play when Russia feels threatened to an extent that it has to use the nuclear option. We've already seen the suspension of New START. So for the world peace, it is not looking good. But I also feel that it is not good for the region at large, because Ukraine, currently it seems that the best option Ukraine, most realistic option has, to keep Russia to a stalemate where Russia cannot make fast offensive, the spring offensive that coming in, Russia cannot make fast gains. But it is highly unrealistic to expect that Ukraine will reverse all the gains that Russia has already made, or Ukraine will defeat Russia. And we have also to consider what will entail a defeat. Will it be an invasion of Russian mainland? Will it be an expulsion of Russian forces? Will it be Ukraine joining NATO and Russia being okay with it? So these are all unrealistic projections, which I do not feel bode well for the world peace in the long run.
Welcome to CSP's Academy for CSS PMS preparation. CSS PMS तहरीरी इम्तिहान के तमाम मज़ामीन की ऑनलाइन और ऑन कैंपस तैयारी के साथ साथ सब्जेक्ट सिलेक्शन, असाइनमेंट चेकिंग, क्लास टेस्ट, मॉक एग्जाम, इंडिविजुअल टीचर डिस्कशन और फीडबैक सेशन का इनकाद किया जाएगा। इसके अलावा FPSC की तजवीज़ करदा बुक्स से बने मयारी नोट्स और CSP पब्लिशर की बेहतरीन बुक्स मुहैया की जाएंगी।
How will you define a policy?
Sir, policy is a broad consideration of the environment and a broad setting of the parameters through which you have to achieve certain goals and objectives. It can also enlist a state or an individual or a group's approach towards a certain challenge and how it will solve it. So it is a broad term under which all these parameters, the premises.
Okay. How are policy formulated and implemented?
Sir, on a national level, policies are formulated with the input of different departments, in which bureaucracy has its input. They also take input of different stakeholders such as the civil society. Then a broad framework is agreed upon. It is presented to the legislators. The legislators argue over it, debate over it, and within the department there are revisions. And afterwards, when it is approved by the highest most executive authorities, it becomes policy. While on a departmental level or on an organizational level, it again goes through the different components of that department or that organization and has to have approval of the
But why policies,
chief executive.
They are not fully implemented? They are left, you see, just in the middle.
Sir, policies can be, to take this luxury of using this word, they can be considered to be wish lists of what you want to happen and what you project to happen. You can estimate what challenges you will face, but in reality, practical reality can always change. As the Murphy's Law says, what can go wrong will always go wrong. So sometimes certain challenges that are not foreseen derail these.
Can you tell us about some of the administrative reforms proposed by Dr. Ishrat Hussain? He was heading that high-powered
Yes, sir.
committee for administrative reforms.
Yes,
so he proposed some reforms, and some of the reforms have been implemented also.
Yes, sir. Some of the reforms that he proposed were that there has to be the service delivery has to be more people friendly and it has to be more efficient. Then he also proposed that there have to be mid-career courses for promotions, and there have to be mid-career courses in order to make the structure of the civil services more like a pyramid that is followed in the military, where there is a large base but the apex is narrow. And then he also proposed certain reforms in the civil service entrance exams. He proposed that specialized entrance be considered. He also gave more emphasis on the reports that are to be given to the performance reports and the evaluation reports, so that underperforming.
How do you see the reform proposed by him and government has implemented, the reading of the dead wood?
Yes, sir.
What are your views on it?
Sir,
the policy which he has performed, and the government is trying to implement that.
Sir, I believe it is necessary to weed out the dead wood. In order to have efficiency within any structure, it is necessary to weed out the non-performing people, because it not only gives incentive to the performers, but it also acts as a deterrent to other non-performers and relegates a culture of mediocrity from the structure. But I believe that the implementation has not been up to the mark yet, because we have not seen widespread change in the culture or in the approach with these reforms.
Good. Accountability Bureau has, we all know,
Yes, sir.
miserably failed,
Yes, sir.
become highly controversial. So what, in your view, what should the contours of the Accountability Bureau looking in the future?
So the contours of the Accountability Bureau is that we have to define, there has to be consensus across the board over what the scope of their operations would be. We have to solve the problem that if we include bureaucratic decisions within the ambit of their powers, then it does not lead to more bureaucratic red tapeism. We have to also bring a human element to their conduct, because the 90-day physical remand and the way it was being abused in previous years. There was an example of the University of Sargodha professor who died in NAB custody. Such cases have to be made sure that this remand is more humane in this reason. But the main issue is that even when the accountability court pursues a case, such cases are not then prosecuted in courts. So there has to be a more synergy between NAB prosecution and the carrying out of the punishments or the trials in the accountability.
How do you see plea bargain as a tool of justice?
So I believe it is a good incentive in order if a system is failing. If a system is not able to efficiently weed out corruption, then you have to rely on the victims, on the abusers of the system to come forward and give some of the money and to just whiten their name. But in efficient systems, plea bargains are not as abused as they are in our country. Because in our country, they're just, when they feel that they will be dragged, so they just give some money and they're able to secure a plea bargain.
What do you know about a police station? That is your second choice. If you have to explain someone as to what is the police station, how will you do it?
So the police station is the integral unit of the police services. And the police services are very important for the law and order in the society. And a society without law and order cannot make neither social progress, neither economic progress, neither political progress. So policing is a very important integral component of the central unit of that component is the police station, where we have an SHO who was normally in charge of the police station. We have the people who are under the SHO, the Jawans of the police, and they have a lot of dealing with the public. They have to have efficient mechanisms of registering first information reports, and they also have many arbitrary powers that the system has to check that they are not abused for the harm of the general public at large.
What do you know about Police Order 2002? Has it been implemented?
So the Police Order 2002 was brought in by General Pervez Musharraf as a series of reforms. Prior to that, the police was functioning on an outdated order that was, if I'm not wrong, it was it was a colonial era police order that was based on the Irish police, and the Irish police was made just to suppress the Irish revolutionaries that were there. So it was outdated and not fit for the system. So 2002, the police order laid more emphasis on community policing at large. It laid more emphasis on reducing the political interference in the postings of the police.
Has it been able to change the colonial mindset of the police?
If we see it prima facie, it has not, because it wasn't implemented on a larger scale. The closest we see to its implementation is in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa under the KP Police Act 2017, then KP Police Act 2020, in which the IGs were empowered. They were empowered to post their own officers. There was a committee overseeing the IG, so political supervision or political oversight was reduced or diluted in that committee. So it was a good initiative in KP, and even police officers say that the KP police is more professional than its counterparts in Punjab and Sindh.
Okay.
Then Rafiq, you're a science student basically.
Yes, ma'am.
You studied physics, maths, biology.
Yes,
ma'am. Have you heard of God particle?
Ma'am, I've heard of it, but my knowledge is very superficial as to the God particle.
Nowadays in medical science, they're talking about regenerative medicine.
Yes, ma'am.
What is your take on that?
Ma'am, I haven't studied a lot about regenerative medicine, but from the very terms regenerative medicine, I believe it is concerned with rehabilitation, and it entails the plastic surgery department, the prosthesis department of rehabilitating or regenerating parts of the body that are lost to disease. But I'm not sure. I'll read up on it, ma'am, because my knowledge to this extent is fairly limited.
Give your career a boost with CSS PMS preparation from Civil Services Preparatory School. Join CSS PMS for on-campus and online classes. Join us for your bright future. Civil Services Preparatory School, Jeetan Markaz, Islamabad. Register now at 0316 570 1593.
Fair enough. Um, Foreign service is your fifth option.
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
Ma'am, I'm the only son. We're two brothers. We're brother and sister. So I didn't want to go away from my parents to another country, because I felt. And the second is that I've been involved in social work. I feel deep affinity for my own people, my own culture. I've lived in different parts of the country due to my father's posting. So I wanted to stay here and to make an impact, because I feel there's more to be done here in the society than going and representing the state. And
But by
different countries.
representing abroad, you're doing more favor to your people, because your country is always under stress from outside.
Yes, ma'am. That
And
is
you need good representatives to speak up for your country, because you're serving more people.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Nelson Mandela is your favorite person.
Yes, ma'am. He is the favorite.
Do you know he visited Pakistan?
Ma'am, I didn't read about that visit. I came to admire Nelson Mandela when I read his book Long Walk to Freedom. It was one of the first few books that I read. I took it from my father's book collection, and I was very young then, and since then I admired this personality a lot, but I didn't read about this visit.
What is your take from Neither a Hawk Nor a Dove?
Ma'am, Neither a Hawk Nor a Dove is a book written by Ahmed Reza Kasuri Saab. I primarily consulted it because I wanted to have a clear understanding on the 4-point formula for Kashmir, because I read that he was involved in that and I wanted to have a first-hand account. So on that, I was able to come away from the book with this conclusion that it was a fairly realistic and practical formula that seems to be the closest that we have come to resolving Kashmir by keeping all three stakeholders on board: Pakistan, India, and the forgotten stakeholder, Kashmiri people. It had a human element to the plan, and I came to admire that plan from that book. Other than that, I also came to see that he wrote a lot about his own experiences in the foreign service. He wrote about his father's political affiliations.
What is Ahmed Reza Kasuri or Khurshid Mohammad Kasuri?
I might be confusing the name. It could be Urshid Mahmood Kasuri. I might be confusing.
I thought so.
Yes.
India is planning to hold G20 in Kashmir.
In Kashmir, ma'am.
Yes. What is your take on that?
It will be a provocative. Attempt by the Indian Foreign Office, and it will also be, if the G20 leaders give an assent to this summit and they attend that summit there, it will also not reflect well on Pakistan's foreign policy, because then it will reflect and it will show that in the wider international community, the opinion that Kashmir is still a contested state and not an internal state of the Indian Union, it will be watered down. So I feel that it will not be a good thing for the Pakistan position on Kashmir if that happens.
And not international community stance on Kashmir because there are UN resolutions on it.
Yes, ma'am. That will also be damaged if they give an assent to attending the summit there.
Thank you so much, Talha. Yes, sir.
Talha,
Sir.
who did represent Muslim League in third roundtable conference?
Sir, I'll read up on it. I think the name.
There is statement that no Aligarh movement,
Yes,
no independence. Please oppose this one.
Sir, this statement is considered that the nationalism that demanded for a separate Muslim state sprouts out of the Aligarh movement. But I will oppose this because I think it goes even back than the Aligarh movement, and the Aligarh movement was just a step in this ladder. The quest for a Muslim statehood in the subcontinent started when the very first, when Muhammad bin Qasim landed on Sindh, because a distinct Muslim identity started to evolve, and afterward with the Central Asian conquests and with the other, with this evolution process, it was the only natural result for this distinct Muslim nationalism was separate statehood.
What is the formula to divide the revenue
Yes, sir.
that is collected by National Finance Commission?
Sir, the formula to divide the revenue is under the NFC 7th NFC award currently. It goes 57.5 of it goes to the provinces.
Welcome to CSP's Academy for CSS PMS preparation. CSS PMS तहरीरी इम्तिहान के तमाम मज़ामीन की ऑनलाइन और ऑन कैंपस तैयारी के साथ साथ सब्जेक्ट सिलेक्शन, असाइनमेंट चेकिंग, क्लास टेस्ट, मॉक एग्जाम, इंडिविजुअल टीचर डिस्कशन और फीडबैक सेशन का इनकाद किया जाएगा। इसके अलावा FPSC की तजवीज़ करदा बुक्स से बने मयारी नोट्स और CSP पब्लिशर की बेहतरीन बुक्स मुहैया की जाएंगी।
Not to share what is the formula that how they have divided this revenue among the federal government and provinces.
Sir,
What is the formula?
Sir, the formula it is the components in the formula.
Yes.
Sir, there are 4 components. One is on the population. That
Yes.
is 82% of it is decided on population. Then it is on backwardness. Then it is inverted population density. And 5% it has revenue generation capacity, which tries to encourage provinces to generate their own revenue as well.
What is the total target of FBR for revenue collection for financial year 2022-2023? I mean for this year.
Sir, if I'm allowed to guess, it is 7 trillion rupees, 700 billion.
Yes, good. What is the Marshall Plan?
Sir, the Marshall Plan was a post-World War II reconstruction plan, which was given by then Secretary of State John Marshall, US Secretary of State. And he gave this plan in order to achieve 2 objectives. One was to reconstruct the United States markets in Western Europe, and the other was to check the spread of communism. Because they felt that if the destitute post-war conditions were allowed to remain, the communism will spread even further. So under this plan, the Secretary of State proposed giving $12 billion US, investing them in these different countries. They were interest-free loans and grants, and this helped revitalize the industry in post-World War II Western Europe. But Russia was not. Then USSR was not.
What do you know about TDA, Thal Development Authority?
Sir, once again, my knowledge to this end is limited, but I think Third Developmental Authority is an authority functioning under the government of Sindh. That is, I'll read up on it, sir.
When the city of Johorabad, as you belong to Shab, was established,
Sir, it was established in 1954.
this was the one component of this TDA, Thal Development Authority. Many people believe that Khushab is a mini Pakistan.
Yes.
How you describe this one?
Sir, Khushab can be said to be a mini Pakistan because of the geographic diversity and the topography of the district. Because in the district we have the salt-range mountains, we have Sakesar Valley, which is a tourist hotspot. We have certain lakes such as Uchali, Kabeki Lake. Then the portion of Thal Desert, it touches Khushab from neighboring Bakhar, and it touches, if I am not wrong, the Nurpur or Qaidabad tehsils of Khushab. So Khushab is geographically very diverse, and as Pakistan is geographically very diverse, we have mountains to the north, then we have plateaus, and then we have deserts and the Arabian Sea in the south.
My last question is that what was the impact of Lucknow Pact
Yes, sir.
for creation of Pakistan?
Sir, the impact of Lucknow Pact, it was a pact that symbolized the Hindu-Muslim unity at that time, and it established the Muslim League as a legitimate actor in the political spectrum of then united India and under British control. And it also set the footwork for the future consultation and between Muslim League and the Congress, such as took place in Delhi Muslim proposals, then Nehru report, then Jinnah's 14 points. So I believe it was a pivotal.
What was the main clause of this Lucknow Pact?
Sir, I'll have to read up on it, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, let's conclude this formula. Let's have an informal discussion.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है So what do you think? What is your personal assessment about your performance? Make a self-assessment. 1 to 10 के scale में आ जाओ. Where you will place yourself?
I'll give myself 6 or 7 because there were some answers that I dropped, some questions. In hindsight, I could have been more articulate or more clear in giving those answers. So there are areas for improvement, but otherwise I try to do my best. So I'll give myself a positive score.
Well, you're very right. The point is, okay, there are very small things, but which you need to remember. Number one तो ये है कि you must start review करे 3 महीने के न्यूज़पेपर.
Yes, sir.
उसकी इंटरनेशनल न्यूज़ है, नेशनल है और डोमेस्टिक फोकस करके.
Right.
And then I wonder you are maintaining a notebook on interview or not.
Sir, I'm not maintaining a notebook per
But
se.
this is what I am saying you. You must have a notebook, something like this.
Right, sir.
Write down the topic, write down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points.
Sir.
Okay? That you must develop at least 100, 150 topics जो
Right.
तुम्हारी उसमें आ सकता है.
Yes, sir.
Reason being, तुम्हारा जो इंटरव्यू होगा
Sir.
तो उसका जो लेवल होगा वो बड़ा अपग्रेड हो जाएगा. 200 नंबर तुम्हें उन्होंने दे दिए हैं. अब व्हेन दे वांट टू क्रॉस 200 से अबव जब जाने की आएगी तो उस पर लेवल ऑफ इंटरव्यू बढ़ता जाएगा.
Sir.
ठीक है. तुम्हें प्रॉब्लम तुम्हारा ये हो जाएगा कि वो फोकस हो जाएंगे ज्यादा
Yes, sir.
कि कंटेंट्स ऑफ द रिप्लाई क्या है. तो दिस इज a sort of a conversation between you and all those people sitting there.
Yes, sir.
रिटन में तो तुम बैठ गए ना, सोच के लिखता रहे, पास हो गया फर्स्ट क्लास.
जी, जी,
यू आर इन ए स्टेट ऑफ प्रिपेयर्डनेस. यू आर,
Yes, sir.
ठीक है ना. बट 70-75% तक हो. अभी देर इज गुंजाइश है
जी,
उसमें.
जी, sir.
ठीक है. दैट यू नीड टू डू. एक तो ये न्यूज़पेपर की करो और उस वेब पॉइंट्स अगर बना सकते हो तो कर लो और इनको रिवीजन रोज करो. रात को सोने से पहले देखो यार एनर्जी क्राइसिस पे है क्या है. यानी जैसे यूक्रेन है, यूक्रेन मालूम मतलब वो तो लंबा चौड़ा आर्टिकल आ रहा है. अमेरिका इज द बेनिफिशियरी, यूरोप इज द लूजर, China is a beneficiary, Saudis are beneficiaries.
Yes, sir.
So who are the loser? We are the loser. Ukraine is the loser. Things like that. You should be very clear.
Yes, sir.
Secondly, ये है कि तुम पैनल को स्टडी करो. पैनल जो इंटरव्यू करने वाला है,
जी सर.
तो ये किया या नहीं?
सर वो देखा है अभी.
इसके पास लिस्ट है, ले लो.
जी सर.
तो उनका बैकग्राउंड देख लो.
मैं अगर आप इजाज़त दें तो आपको पता है मैं टीडी आपसे क्यों पूछा है. शायद अरशद तारड़ साहब जो है ना वो खुशाब के 3 साल डीसी रहे हैं.
सर.
जोराबाद. अच्छा, ये जो हमारे चेयरमैन हैं अपना मेकन साहब, ये कलूर कोर्ट के, इनके पहले असिस्टेंट कमिश्नर कलूर कोर्ट के थे और इन्होंने ना वो जो टीडी के प्रोजेक्ट थे उनको इम्प्लीमेंट किया हुआ है.
सर.
तो 2 लोग तो वहाँ पोस्टेड रहे हैं.
बिल्कुल. उसके
वो आपसे पूछेंगे जी आपको पता है जोराबाद का सबसे फेमस पार्क कौन सा है?
नहीं सर, मैं उधर
उस पार्क का नाम भी शायद अरशद तारड़
अब
पार्क
वो
है.
है ना कि तुम क्योंकि खुशाब से हो ना इसलिए,
यस.
अदरवाइज शायद ना कहते.
हाँ.
तो बस मेरी तुम्हें ये एडवाइस है कि बेटा न्यूज़पेपर है, पैनल को स्टडी कर लो, फोकस्ड जवाब दो. अपने जवाब में याद करो कि 2-3 पॉइंट तुमने डिलीवर करने हैं.
Give your career a boost with CSS PMS preparation from Civil Services Preparatory School. Join CSS PMS for on-campus and online classes. Join us for your bright future. Civil Services Preparatory School, Jeetan Markaz, Islamabad. Register now at 0316 570 1593.
Tanha, you have a very good personality.
Thank you, ma'am.
You have good communication skills. But you are going in a competitive examination. These marks that Durrani Sahib has given are not to make you feel good about you. It is a challenge that will you be able to live up to these marks.
Yes, ma'am.
So you have to work hard. For example, when he asked you about Pakistan, mashallah, despite having good knowledge, you don't know that Pakistan is part of South Asia, not Southeast Asia.
Yes, ma'am. That was careless on that. Yes,
Yeah, you have to be careful when you do your interview. Secondly, you're a science student. There'll be more questions on science, and it seems you haven't worked on science.
Yes, ma'am.
So you have to work on science.
Yes.
Regenerative medicine is now the talk of the town. Stem cell kya hota hai? How does it function? All those things are now en vogue. Everybody is talking about it. So you, having been a doctor, people will ask you, although you're a dentist more than, but still you would be asked questions on that.
Yes, ma'am.
You could be asked questions on AIs, about their application, about their challenges. Favorite personalities, my dear sir, you don't put 6 favorite personalities. अच्छा, अपने hobbies को भी limit करो.
Yes.
क्योंकि you basically you're opening flanks. जितना flank खोलोगे उतना attack आएगा और कहीं से भी आएगा. इसलिए उसको अगर zero in करो और उसको फिर defend करो, तो then you are a competitor.
Right.
Because you're in a competition. If you make it your advantage, you can win. If you make it your disadvantage, you will lose. ठीक है? तो उसमें भी फिर because आपने वो लिखा है कि आपने अपना blog बनाया ये वो, people will ask you questions. आपने जो है उसको क्यों बंद कर दिया, ट्विटर का क्या है, एलन मस्क का क्या है, all sorts of questions will start coming to you. Playing and watching फुटबॉल के उसका फील्ड का क्या साइज है?
Yes.
ठीक है. Who are the champions now? वर्ल्ड कप किसने जीता, क्यों जीता, प्लेयर्स के नाम, डिफरेंट कंट्रीज के, मोरक्को का क्या हुआ, all those questions will come. So we are here to guide you. Yes. And you are a winning horse, but focus on what you write and then defend it. Okay?
I will work on it.
देखो ये तुम्हारा 80% इंटरव्यू इसी चीज से होगा, इसी फॉर्मेट पे. वहाँ वो आपसे लेंगे कोई ना कोई something like. Then you have to defend what you have written on this paper.
Right, sir.
तो 80% वो तुम्हें यहाँ से जैसे कोशाब, तुम्हारी मेडिसिन, जो कुछ तुमने इसमें लिखा है,
जी सर.
ठीक है, और 20% न्यूज़पेपर में होना है.
जी सर.
दैट इज द एरिया.
पाकिस्तान अफेयर को बहुत बेहतर करो. बहुत ज़्यादा क्वेश्चन पूछेंगे. देन आप खुशाब में रहे नहीं हो, ये कोई एक्सक्यूज नहीं है. आपको बहुत अच्छा पता होना चाहिए.
जी सर.
अच्छा, दूसरा यार, अपना वीकनेस आपने लिखे, नीड टू इम्प्रूव द यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ टाइम. सो ये तो इस चीज़ को इंडिकेट करती है कि यू आर इनएफिशिएंट. इसको ना चेंज करो. अच्छा, आपकी वीकनेस और स्ट्रेंथ ना एक दूसरे के साथ मैच नहीं कर रही, तो इनको भी एक दफ़ा देख लो. यहाँ पे आपने कहा परसिस्टेंट, रेजिलिएंट, देन आप कह रहे हैं नीड टू इम्प्रूव द यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ टाइम. ये इनएफिशिएंसी की तरफ जाता है. इसको थोड़ा सा बेहतर कर लो.
Any question from your side?
नहीं सर. It was a great session. Valuable feedback.
Okay, good. Take care.